Hey friend, this is LaJoie. Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to start this new year with you and wanted to just open up a conversation about what's happening in the energy, what's happening in the world, what's happening with you, what's happening with me, what's going on. So important to start the year on the right mindset. Really important to get connected to yourself, get connected to the future, get connected to the world, get connected to what you want to make happen. Why is that? Because the energy is so supportive and ripe at this time to open up these personal dialogues and conversations about, hey, where are you? Where are you not? Where do you need to be? What's evolving in your life? What's evolving in your world right now? And listen, one of the best ways you can ever do that is to get grounded into who you are and get grounded into yourself in the present moment. Like, where are you right now? Where were you before? And where are you going? I talked about this a little bit in my last podcast, just like how to set yourself up to win in your intentions for 2023 and any year and any time in life. Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to just be like right here, right now. It doesn't have to be, just for the year end. It's anytime you need to realign with yourself, get to know yourself, get reconnected to yourself, get to know yourself in a new way is what I mean. Because as we evolve and change and grow, there's always a new level of you that's going to come up. Many people in the world have had deep, deep times to reflect during COVID and realign with new possibilities in life and how we can function differently as a community, as a society. Also, you need to know who you are and what's best for you, right? It's really important. We follow the world so much. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. We follow the world so much around us that we forget to align with who we are deep down inside of ourselves. And, we talk a lot about that in very differently. Like, listen, I was in this industry when, we weren't even allowed to talk about feelings. I was a change maker. My mother was a change maker when we weren't allowed to talk about feelings. This is, an era in time, an epic time in life where silence is golden and you weren't supposed to share who you are and what you're about and how you feel. And you needed to shut up and keep quiet. And that caused a tremendous amount of conflict for people. We weren't allowed to be who we are. We weren't allowed to talk about who we are. We weren't allowed to share our feelings. And that's changed drastically over the last 30, 40 years. Drastically. Well, at least the last 40 years, drastically. It's natural and very normal to talk about emotions today, to self-reflect, to, open new doors. And there's been so many influencers that have caused this beautiful opening for people to really be able to share who they are and talk about where they're at, and how they feel and what's happening in their life, what's happened to them. And you could see, listen, if you're listening here, consciousness is critical for development and growth. And that's consciousness. Consciousness is really knowing how you feel, really knowing what you think, really knowing what happened to you and how it's affected you, how it's influenced you, how it's caused disruption in your life, how it's opened doors or closed doors. Like, this is what we're built to experience in life. This is what we're made of. This is the juices of being a spiritual, epic human being, is being able to dive into the qualities and the levels of who you are and open the door to you, to open the door to all your juiciness and all your beauty and all your power and all your inefficiencies and your weaknesses, and be able to understand and transmute yourself into your full potential and your full power. I was having some really beautiful conversations in the last little bit with myself and with others. And, like talking about what we're made of as individuals, and that collectively we get so lost in the hustle and bustle of the external world, and the conversation that is kind of cool for this conversation I'm having with you today is like, I was thinking about how the spiritual world right now has just exploded in social media and in the marketing and stuff like that. And it's been maybe the last 3, 4, or 5 years that people are really talking about spirituality. It's very trendy. It's very open. And there's, listen, I'm going to be honest. I've been in this field for a long time. There's a lot of charlatans and bullshit happening out there. That's always been in existence. There's always been people who make my line of work look really bad because they're liars and they're deceiving people and being dishonest. And, they're just, look at even, please don't be offended, but even religion, how many, pedophiles are living in religions and all this kind of stuff that's real, that's come out in the open in the last 10 years. And that's open, like really revealed the truth about how people are, how fake we are and how full of shit we are and how manipulative we are and how darkness reigns inside of humans who are not taking responsibility for their growth, who are hiding or in pain or living what they lived, something that happened to them, they're doing it to somebody else. There's so many different, oh my God, how many mental conditions, how many psychological, problems people are having, how much depression is out in the world, how much impact is food, environment, pills, medication, influence happening in people's lives today. You know what I mean? It's mind blowing. Like people are so far away from their nature. And this conversation that I had with a friend was like, there's so many spiritual fakers out there right now. And there's a lot of incredible spiritual pioneers in the younger communities too, they're making new headway, that are, opening new doors, or who us as trailblazers, doing this for 30 years and being an intuitive clairvoyant, working with people in all different areas of life, doing reading, shining light on situations, circumstances, helping people evolve, grow, being an energy healer, being a business intuitive. Like there's a lot that's gone on, but I've been doing this for, it's 30 plus years now. So of course my world has epically evolved. And what I get to look at is the reflection of where we were and where we are and what's happening and the pros and cons of what's happening and how important it is for you and us as a world to get into ourselves and dive into our true self in the sense of who you are in your own energy, like what you're made of, what has to be gotten rid of that comes still from history or the outside world that's influencing you. That's always going to be important. I want to tell you that's always going to be important because there's always external influences. There's always external circumstances. There's always a place to look at outside of you and compare where you are to where somebody else is, but it might not be relevant to you and what you're here to do. So coming back home to yourself, releasing yourself from anything in your life, becoming a sovereign person who's aware of their soul presence, aware of their energy, aware of what they're aligned to be, do, and have, and to experience is the most important thing that we need to discuss. Because what your parents gave you might not be right for you, but could keep you a prisoner. Okay. What they taught you, what the world around you taught you, how you grew up, what your school taught you, what the kids that you were around, the families that you were involved in growing up, what you learned in school, what school you went to, what you learned in the world, the different experiences that collectively we have created in civilization. History might impact you. The history of evolution itself, of the ascension of human beings, where we're at, war, like it's endless. Social media. You know how the world's changed, COVID. There's so many things that shape us and change us. Opportunities, things opening, things closing, learning about, the imprisonment of socialization, because there's a lot of imprisonment, like we're just pillaging through this earth. We're not aware of the abundance that's sitting there. We have to take it for ourselves and try to be better and bigger than other people. And it's ridiculous. And then there's all the amazing people too that are pioneers and shining a light on freedom, evolution, respect and honor of this earth, universal principles and consciousness and being better, bigger, wiser, abundant, being in other levels of mind and ascension thinking. There's that too. And in all of it, like all of it, you have to be real with yourself. You have to know the difference between a faker and a person that's genuine. You have to determine who you were born to be and learn to access your potential, your skills, the things that are made and that are living inside you that you're made of, that you need to put out into the world, that you need to share with the world, that you need to empower the world with. And I mean your world. That's what I'm talking about. Your world, which then in turn, if the world benefits from the power you ignite inside yourself to know who you are and have acceptance and really live in the aligned fashion that you're meant to experience and understand who you are, understand the challenges that you came here with. Like, some of my favorite work ever is to help people understand their soul purpose. Like, what are they here to by doing some spiritual technology work that I do, and understand the map of their soul experience, understand the landscape of their when they were born, what was going on, what is in their astrological charts that they're naturally designed to experience, right? And working with those energies and capitalizing on those energies. If I had it my way, I was telling a client this morning, if I had it my way, all mothers and fathers, all parents would get an astrological reading of their child to help them cultivate and nurture the best practices for that child to live in their highest potential self. To not impose, but to be of support. That parents could support this soul-aligned child, this person who is built in a certain way that's going to be different from them, or to understand how to support what is aligned. Like, sometimes, we are really aligned and designed to live what our parents have to offer us. And sometimes we're born totally different than what our parents are living. And we're not supposed to live their life. We're not supposed to move forward, take their initiatives and continue the path. We're really designed for something different and unique that's just between us and our soul and the universe and Mother Nature and life. But you can't know that. And often people and parents and people in general, we make the mistake of assuming that we're supposed to just like copy paste what we've learned, or that we end up copying and pasting what we learned, reliving it, remodeling it. We don't realize that some of the lessons that our parents have given us have zero to do with us. Some of them actually do and reflect what our soul is here to accomplish and grow into. And they are building a landscape for our growth and our karmic responsibility to change the things that our soul and the mandates that our soul has for us in this lifetime. But how do you know that? How do you find that out? So you can do it by trial and error, or you can do it with spiritual technology from somebody who does really understand how to help you with your natural self and work with who you are to understand how you're designed. And I use I use a lot more than that. I use 4 or 5 or 6 technologies, spiritual technologies, but the 2 that are really profound are astrology and human design. Because that's the landscape. These are landscape principles that teach you about, hey, well, what are you made of? What did you come here with? We can map it out. And trust me, I'm the skeptic. I'm the person who's going to try things on, take them off, try them on, take them off, try them on, take them off. Look, let's be honest. So you need to be aware of who you are and what you're made of. That's it. I have so many wonderful experiences. I'll tell you a story. My mother got me into astrology when I was super young, and because she wanted to learn, and thank God for my mother, who was into metaphysics and into that kind of stuff. It took her a long time, but when I was 14, she helped me understand the gifts that I had, which I really didn't understand. And really shitty things were happening to me because I could see all kinds of energy and I didn't get it. And I didn't understand what was going on. I used to have I could see things in the future. I could see events. All these things would happen to me. And what was crazy is I was able to see experiences and life events, and I couldn't explain it. You know what I mean? And I would freak out. I could see energies in people. I could see their history. I could see their bad vibes. I could see the bad intentions they had. And I was too young to be able to explain it. And long story short for this episode anyways, all these crazy things happened to me at one point. And I said to my mother, I'm like, I finally called her. I'm like, something's really wrong. My parents were split up at this time. I wasn't living with her. Something's really wrong. And she introduced me to an astrologer because the Vedic astrologer, had the answers in my chart about what was going on with me that were unexplainable to my mother. So my mother is not me. My mother didn't know what was happening to me. She couldn't understand it. She didn't have the same experience. She couldn't get it. And bless her for being open-minded to just try to figure it out and be able to set me up. Now, did I understand everything this astrologer told me? Not at the time, but it stuck in my mind. I was 14, pretty messed up, going through some pretty hair-raising experiences, hell-raising experiences too. I come from a traumatic family, you know what I mean? My parents split. Like I'm growing up in this crazy environment. My mother's not aware of it, but I'm growing up with parties and gangs and all kinds of stuff happening at my house. And all these things are going on. My brother's like, wild, and these people are in my house, and I'm being abused and sexually abused, and crazy stuff is going on since I'm like a little kid, like 5, 6 years old. It started. Even younger, probably, that I'm aware of, related to what's going on with me at this 14 years old. And the astrologer explained to me about this gift I had as an energy person, an intuitive, a clairvoyant, that I could see way beyond the norm, that I can see energy. I could see the future. I was like, what? And she goes, well, what are you seeing? And we talked about it, and she tried to explain it to me. And she goes, well, did that happen? Yes, it happened. Did that happen? Yes, it happened. I saw this. Did it happen? Yes, it happened. I had this, really bad vibe with this person. So what was that? And my mother started to try to help me make sense of some of it with this woman who explained to me the gift I had that was written in my chart, that's in my chart, to be this psychic kid. Was clear. She made it clear. She helped me understand. So I learned really young, like these tools, these technologies, this ancient wisdom is so valuable to us as persons, because we, is in our evolution and in our consciousness and in our connection to the galaxy also spoke back to us, inspired astronomers and people to, learn about this whole thing that we have here, that we access. One of my greatest fascinations is the universe since I was a little kid, not because of astronauts, because I couldn't believe, like I always felt this huge connection to our galaxy. Like, what are we, this little person, doing in this enormous space? And I'm so grateful, because there's a lot more talk about that reality. There's so many more openings to that people who are interested in learning about the more that we are, and all the energies that actually are creatively rearranging and organizing and manifesting and attracting, that live within us in this world as well, with all the people and souls that are here, and also in the galaxy with all the planets in our personal solar system. That all these energies are magnetizing, pulling, concocting, creating, and also giving us a language that we can understand and put into practical reality by using them to create actions that change our actual reality, because we can see what we need to see in order to understand what possibilities and energies are coming into our life, situations, circumstances. Astrology is not like, there's different variety of astrology. Like I learned Vedic astrology, and at that time, the Vedic astrologer was really like, this is what it is. And they have a certain philosophy, the one that I learned from her. And it's a very predictive experience. And like, she had a certain way of doing it, which was, to me, very controlling. And I always, I'm a tester of all things. I've always been like that. I learned in my human design, I'm a 1-3 investigator, which means I have to experience and test whatever I'm learning to see if it's accurate and true. And so I don't come to you, I'm not woo in any way. I actually test what I learn. I've tested my skills. I've tested everything. Like I can't help it. I want to learn. I want to experience. I want to make sure of what I'm actually understanding and see if it's true, and make it work in practical terms, and make it make people able to use it as a strategy or as a solution or as an understanding so that they can elevate their consciousness to understand who they are and then make an impact and a difference in the world, right? And it's something I do with my private clients. It's something that I'm going to start sharing more and more of in the world and on this podcast and in any way I can, because it's interesting to me that people just don't get the power of these languages and these spiritual technologies, like how much they can impact you and help you develop and learn about yourself and the impact you make in the world. And some people are here to make an impact personally. Some people are here to make an impact in the world. But the thing you have to understand the most is that your soul, that part of you, chose so much of what you're living right now, mandated itself through the experiences that you're in as a human being, the parents, the situations, the place. So when you think of it like this, like my soul came down was born at a certain time and place in reality, okay, in this world. And at that exact moment, there was a snapshot of the universe, all the planets and all the signs, all the astrological components made a snapshot in the universe that when you pull that snapshot with your date and time of birth and place, and you put it into the chart system of astrology or the chart system of human design, it leaves and shows and reveals the landscape of you, your life, your experiences, the different experiences that you're going to have in this lifetime, how that unfolds, how that works, how that evolves, the different components of life, of what you're made of, who you're made of, the different areas that are going to be impacted, because an astrological chart is like a big pie that's cut into 12 components. And each component is very specific. It's called a house. And each house represents a real area of life as we evolved as humans, and a different area of life that we have the opportunity to revolutionize, evolve in, that all of us are growing and learning about. And let me walk you through it, okay? I'll give you the quick version. So in the chart, there's 12 houses, and each house represents a specific area or the presence of something in our life. So first house is about you, who you are, your appearances, your body, the first impressions people get of you, your identity, your approach to life. It opens up and really reveals you, who you are. Then the second house is about money, income, your daily routines, your values, your habits, your job, your possessions. The third house is your mind, your thinking, communication, how you express yourself, who you are, in the presence of your interest, your social activities, how you want to associate with people and experiences in your life. Okay. The fourth house is your family, your roots, how you take care of yourself. It's about your self-care, your emotions, your mother, your children, the women, femininity. The fifth house is your romance, how you have love affairs, how you play, your creativity, your childlike experience in life, your joy, your enthusiasm. The sixth house is your health, your fitness, your brain, your analytical brain, like how your brain works. It represents also work habits, organization, how you create, how you serve. The seventh house is your relationships, your marriages, your business associates, how you make partnerships, what kind of relationships you experience, how you experience them. The eighth house is your power, your sexual encounters, your intimacy, your abilities to dive deep into your power. It's also about money and inheritances and where you live, your goals, the mysteries of life. It's a very deep, powerful house. The ninth house is about travel and wisdom and philosophy and higher education. And it's about like opening the doors and how you move through life and what you aim for and how you open the doors to new possibilities in what you learn and grow and how you expand your consciousness. The 10th house is your career, your long-term goals, your reputation, how you live that out, your public appearance. It's masculine energy. It's how you assert yourself. It's fathers. It's, the framework of masculinity. The 11th house is your friends, is groups you have, people that you're involved with. It's your humanitarian causes, some of your hopes, your fears, how you think about your future. The 12th house is endings, healing, closure. It's the last house. It's about dealing with your karma, what that means, the afterlife, what's hidden in your life or in yourself, what limits you, your subconscious mind. It's also, a very deep and profound house because it's often the place that reveals what really has to change. So imagine we have all this at our disposal in a chart. And long story short, okay, what happens with your astrological chart is the snapshot is dropped into the house based on the time year that you're born. And then the cosmos is laid out in the chart. It's fascinating and magnificent and absolutely incredible. And astrology is very, very big and wide and huge and vast. And it's very technical. And that's part of why I like a few different spiritual technologies that I work with. That I love human design. I use numerology too. Depends when I'm called to do it, to help my clients dive into themselves, and to understand the fiber of their essence and the possibilities that they have without anybody else. In the chart, we can definitely find how the parents have influenced